What is going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys tuning in. Lakers over the San Antonio Spurs, 123-118, the final score. We're going to talk some Lakers basketball tonight. I got a few topics that I want to get into. Not exactly the most impressive game. Obviously, I was not able to do the post-game show yesterday, so kind of talk about the two games since the Lakers have played since the All-Star break. Really desperate, right? An incredibly desperate team, yet they haven't really looked desperate in both of these games, so not exactly the best sign. Maybe that's something that just comes with Lakers basketball. Darvin Ham post-game, not incredibly impressed, and I don't blame him. We'll get a chance to talk about LeBron since he's come back. Obviously, didn't play these last couple games. He looked good. Wemby, this dude's going to be a freaking I want to spend some time on Wemby because I have not been watching a lot of Wemby games and getting a chance. I was there for almost the first half or so at Crypto and just kind of watching him live in person and seeing this dude up front. This guy's incredible. Just got to stay healthy, and who knows, sky's the limit for him. Lakers bench, absolutely awful tonight. We'll talk a little bit about that. Lakers bench was not impressive at all. And we'll also, obviously read a lot of your comments and get into everything from there. So 2 games so far for the Lakers since the All-Star break, and we'll see what they do here moving forward. But it's been nothing impressive, nothing too crazy. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy right here, proud partner. Higher or lower, you just got to pick. I got a game coming up tomorrow, and you guys can go ahead and choose for me, and I'm just going to strictly go off of your guys' pick. Tatum basically higher or lower than 26.5 points. Jalen Brunson and the Knicks higher or lower than 27.5 points. So we'll do that a little bit later. And then the Lakers taking on the Suns coming up on Sunday. We'll get into that as well. Okay, so look, right out the gate, I think the thing that stands out to me most anytime you're looking at Lakers basketball right now, I think the only thing that we're paying attention to because of what the standings look like is number one priority is, did you grab a W? And if that's the most important thing right now, where it doesn't have to be pretty, even if you end up winning a game that you look at and you say to yourself, all right, well, nobody's going to really look at that game and say, well, that was, perfect Lakers basketball. That's exactly what you want to see on a night in, night out basis. That's not what tonight was. But it was a W, and the Lakers are desperate for W's right now. The rest of the Western Conference and a lot of these teams in the NBA, and I'm talking about specifically that top 10 in the West, it's going to be tough to move to make up some ground. It's going to be tough to kind of find yourself in a position where you can catch a team that's 3-4 games in front of you, especially now after tonight's game, only 24 games left on the season. So 31-27, take the wins when you can get them. That is 7 of their last 10 are the Lakers. What's that number? They were 6-7. Lost yesterday, so 7 of 9 is what the Lakers have won over their stretch here. I'll take that. I think anybody will, but I think we'd also agree that the actual play, the performance from the Lakers, it's going to have to be a lot better moving forward. It's just going to be. I think. I think the thing that I pay attention to most when I look at these Laker games is, yes, get the W, but then what kind of version of the Lakers are we going to watch? Are we going to see a version that we're all looking at and we're proud of, and we're saying, damn, that's a team, if they're going up against a really good opponent, a really good matchup, watch out for the Lakers? Or is it going to be a game like tonight against the San Antonio Spurs, where you're asking yourself basically some questions about the performance, knowing that the team obviously has to be a lot better. Okay, I want to do 2 things here real quick. I want to just change something here on my page. Just looking at the actual team. So Bron comes back, has not played in the last 2 games. For me, a lot of the questions that I was getting about LeBron James, especially on radio, is, hey, why did LeBron play in the All-Star game, but he didn't play in the opener, the game against the Golden State Warriors yesterday? It's a fair question. A lot of people are asking this question. I feel like LeBron was also getting a lot of heat for it. I think no matter what, and this is something that I was telling to Travis when I do my show in the mornings with Travis on 710. I was telling him, I'm like, I don't think he's going to play back-to-backs. So he didn't play the second of a back-to-back against the Utah Jazz before we went to the All-Star break, and Lakers won that game. They looked really good in that game as well in Utah. And they were going to either not play him against the Golden State Warriors or not play him against the San Antonio Spurs. And it's kind of interesting. The Lakers chose the easier path to have LeBron. LeBron played in the game against the Pistons, kind of guaranteed them a victory. Played in the game against the Spurs, kind of guaranteed the Lakers a victory against the Spurs. But he didn't play at Utah. He didn't play at Golden State. So there's a little bit of rolling the dice there. Could this Lakers team have beat the Spurs without LeBron tonight? Probably. But they could have also lost to them. And then if Bron played yesterday, are they winning that game at Golden State? Maybe, but the Warriors could very easily beat the Lakers if Bron is there as well. So I think the Lakers were just trying to take the guarantees. But as far as Bron coming back, 13 to 22 from the field, 30 points for him, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. So almost a triple-double for him. He looked good tonight. Just looked comfortable, smooth. I think after all this rest, that's not a shocker that he did look comfortable, that he did look smooth. We'll try to find one of the tweets here. I was listening to LeBron. He had a couple things, some on Wembenyama, but he was also talking about, I don't know if I could catch it, if I could find it. It's talking about his health, how he's feeling and everything else. And I think from, his perspective, he's got a game plan. His game plan is completely based on the marathon, not the sprint. So I think if we're watching LeBron right now and you want LeBron James to, why is LeBron doing this? Why is he strategic here? Well, how come he didn't play in this game? Well, I could tell you why. I think it's pretty easy. I think the answer is because he's 39 and he's in his 21st season in the NBA. So that's why. So LeBron has kind of put himself in a position and a spot where he has to be very strategic. And I think sometimes that's going to rub fans the wrong way. I think people were taking the All-Star game as if, hey, well, he played in the All-Star game, and maybe that's the reason why he's not playing at Golden State. I never really thought it was that. I just thought he's not going to play back-to-backs. If he didn't play in the All-Star game, I'm not raising up my hand and saying, well, why the hell did he not play in the All-Star game? It's not a big deal whether he played in it or not. Now, I think he only played 13, 14 minutes anyways, and if you watch the All-Star game, basically nobody played. Even if you played, you didn't actually play in the All-Star game. Okay, couple other things just to point out in the game. AD 28 and 13. It's kind of cool to see him and Wemby. I'm going to do Wemby by himself because I want to do that by himself. But AD 28 and 13. It was cool to see those two match up against each other. Anthony Davis, had a lot of moments where he's a man amongst boys. He was getting to the free throw line. Nothing to really talk about when it comes to Anthony Davis. Just another day at the office for him. I thought Rui, nice bounce back game. He was not good yesterday against the Warriors. And he was the key to yesterday's game. Yesterday against the Warriors, he had to have a really good game coming in. And, obviously in place of LeBron, you can call it. He's going to have to be a big piece of the pie of what the Lakers needed to do. He didn't do it yesterday. He did it today. 17 points. Also had 7 rebounds. Love to see that. D'Lo continues to look good. 8 of 18 from the field. Hit 3 threes, 22 points, 6 assists. And only thing I will say, and this is something, Sammy's in the background here. So Sammy, who's interning here on Hoops Talk, he's in the background kind of organizing all the comments. So I'm going to start getting into the comments here in just a second. But one of the things that he pointed out to me is the Lakers bench versus the Spurs bench. Big difference between the two teams. And, I'll tell you this, Dinwiddie has been pretty underwhelming so far. Hasn't really had a moment where you've kind of really felt his presence. So that was a little surprising to me. I thought Dinwiddie would come in and go to work. I thought Dinwiddie have a little more. It's super early. The guy just got here. But 24 minutes for him. Didn't hit a field goal. He was 0 of 6 from the field, but still plus 21 on the plus minus. It's pretty damn impressive. Him and LeBron led the team with plus 21. But the bench for the Lakers, Taurean Prince was just 2 of 6. Jackson Hayes was the only one that you kind of really felt him. He had 8 points, 4 of 5. Max Christie back as well since his ankle injury that he was dealing with. Just 3 points, but only took one shot, played in 13 minutes. Compare that to the Spurs. Collins had 14. Branham had 17. Johnson had 14. So they're in the 50 range, something along those lines. So the bench not incredibly impressive on that front. Okay, let's get to some of your guys' comments. We got a lot of comments here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday night. Hopefully everybody had a nice all-star break. I think so I took a couple of days off. Why is it when you take a couple of days off and then you come back to work, it's as if I'm climbing Mount Everest or something? What the hell? I think when I'm overworked, it's a lot easier to work. I think when I'm underworked, I feel like it's a lot more difficult to work. Okay, let's get a couple of these in. Joshua Cutler, thank you, brother. I appreciate the kind message there. LeBron had to score 30 to barely beat the Spurs. I'll stay with this one. Max, I appreciate the comment there. I'll stay with this one. They did not look good tonight. They looked disinterested. They looked like they were just going to, show up to work, and the Spurs are just going to fold. San Antonio played all the way through. I think they got it all the way down. They get it down to 4, maybe, something like that. It's like, all right, we got a ball game here. Maybe 3. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the Lakers would just kind of quietly, okay, it's up to 6, it's up to 8, got a stop that they needed. The Spurs would make some kind of a mistake, whatever it was. Yes, they needed LeBron to have 30, and they also needed AD to have 28 and D'Lo to have 22 and 17 from Rui Hachimura to barely beat the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, I never thought the game was in jeopardy, but it also wasn't impressive. So anybody who walked away from tonight's game saying, what the hell was that? You have every right to have that feeling, because I don't think this game was impressive by any stretch of the imagination. All right, let's see what else we got here. Got the dub. That's all that matters. Ohio Lakers. You're not wrong. 7 of 9 ain't bad. It's crazy here. If you go look at the NBA standings right now, winning 7 of 9 games and still has the Lakers in the number 9 spot. The game coming up on Sunday is actually a really big game. Sacramento is 9 games over 500. Phoenix is 9 games over 500. And moving up in the Western Conference, you're basically asking the Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, the Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns, and the Golden State Warriors for some help. And you're not exactly getting it. New Orleans lost today, but they had been playing some great basketball. They're 11 games over 500. Dallas has won 7 games in a row. They're playing good. Sacramento, after going on a little bit of a skid, have won a couple games in a row. But Phoenix is the one that you kind of don't really know what you're going to get with Phoenix. So the fact that the Lakers play the Suns and can gain a game on the Suns rather than, take another step back and could potentially fall into 10th, Sunday's game becomes a very, very important game. And I'll get into that game in just a little bit. Got to win Sunday. Warriors got to lose to the Nuggets. Pels and Kings, Dallas might be scary. A lot going on here. Suns are struggling. Lake Show can win on Sunday. I think they could beat the Suns, period, just because, Phoenix might have really, really top-heavy talent. I don't think Bradley Beal is back, so I'm not sure if he's going to play on Sunday or not. Afternoon game, by the way, so really not about a 36-hour turnaround for the Lakers. Suns are beatable because they really play team ball. Everything is just iso ball is how I usually look at it. All right, a couple more comments here, and I want to get into some more stuff here. Spencer going to show up in the playoffs if we get there. How about that? How about that? That's even a conversation. If we get there, that is definitely a conversation to be had. Okay, keep the comments coming in. If you send a super, 100% going to read it. Either way, I'm going to try to get your comments. Like I said, I'm going to try to get to them either way. Okay, so Darvin Ham post-game show was not all that impressed with the Lakers play. And he basically just kind of, hey, it's good to get the win. We'll take the win. But there was a little bit of, the team's got to be a lot better. So I just want to spend a quick second on that. And then I want to get into, like I mentioned, I'm going to get into Victor Wembanyama. I get really thrown off by this team. I'll tell you why. I get thrown off by them because they genuinely look disinterested in the game of basketball at times. And that's a hard one for me to comprehend. It's hard for me to comprehend because go look at the standings. Okay, the standings, you don't have any margin for error. Like, you can't play with fire. 24 games left is not a lot of games. And it's not even, if you go out there and you play great basketball yourself, that doesn't mean, that's not going to guarantee you anything, because there's other good teams in the Western Conference that are also playing in front of you. If the play-in tournament started today, look at all the stars that would be in the play-in tournament. It would be Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. So many good players. That's just in the play-in tournament. Anybody can beat each other once. So this team throws me off because they're so nonchalant sometimes. And it's such a terrible, what's a word I'm looking for? It's such a terrible habit. And I feel like it's become a habit for the Lakers that they kind of sleepwalking games. Now, can they come back on Sunday and look good? They can, and then we're not going to have this conversation. But these first two games since the break doesn't really look like a team that's desperate, that's fighting to get, positioning in the standing, that understands that every game is literally could be the difference of having a home court game for the play-in tournament or having to win 2 games on the road just to get into the playoffs. And I don't see that all the time from the Lakers, and that part is certainly a little bit frustrating to watch. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like a lot of people would be on the same page with me on this one. There are way too many times where the Lakers just they show up to work and not exactly caring. They want to win, but it doesn't. They don't. Let's just say they don't really sell you on every game they play is the most important. All right, here's one comment here. We not impressed with Darvin Ham's. I see what you did there. So I put up the banner of Darvin Ham not impressed. You put up the comment of we're not impressed with Darvin Ham. I see what you did there. Kind of Jedi mind tricked me. Let me see what we got here. Play for Ham. We got some support here. Some support here for Ham. Okay, let me get into Victor Wembanyama, and then I'll take more of your comments, and then I want to talk a little bit about Lakers, Suns, and everything else. Okay, so I have yet to see Wemby live in person. I've yet to see him right in front of me. Before the game started, so Wemby was warming up when I was doing the pregame show, so I don't have the ability when he's warming up to get close because doing the pregame show. About 20 rows up, something like that. So when I was done, I went back to the media room, and eventually I start working my way back. And where I'm walking, Wemby is like right there, and he's doing his shoot around drills, but with the whole team. So both teams we're getting close to tip off. I'm just looking at this dude's body, and I'm like, the hell is this? Like, his actual body type is so unusual. And he's so lanky, and his arms are so long, and he's so tall. And oh, by the way, he's an actual basketball player. We've seen guys kind of these freaks of nature. They've such unbelievable size, and they end up in the NBA, but they're not necessarily basketball players. They're just big dudes. Game starts. Wemby gets that block on Austin Reeves. faces up against Anthony Davis, takes the three, gets fouled, hits all three of his free throws. Then I want to say next possession or at some point, he hits another three. I mean, watching Wemby in action, 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks. Let me say his stat line again. By the way, he's automatic if he gets to the free throw line. He's 10 of 11 from the free throw line. He was not efficient tonight, 7 of 16, but they don't really have a good team. So I think I'm hoping that the San Antonio Spurs can put a good team around him so we could just kind of see this guy flourish a little bit. It's tough to watch a player on a team that's so bad, and frankly, it's tough to follow a player when he's on such a bad team. But let me say his stat line again. He had 27 points. He had 10 rebounds. He had 8 assists. He had 5 steals. He had 5 block shots. What the F? 27, 10, 8, 5, and 5. I don't remember ever saying that in a stat line. I'm not telling you that it hasn't come up, but 27, 10, 8, 5, and 5, the fact that it's the balance across the board, that's your 2 defensive stats with 5 steals and 5 blocks, 10 total on the defensive side. And then, obviously almost having a triple-double on the offensive end, at least including rebounds. I don't know how to describe this player. I don't. And I'm curious. I hope he stays healthy. His body is every time he kind of moves a little bit. Is he tweaking something? If he falls, it's like, is he good? And that's just, I think maybe just because naturally it's just not something that I'm accustomed to seeing. And it's not like he's got, Shaq back in the day, I'll use him as an example. Shaq was big. Shaq was tall. But Shaq was also thick. You know what I mean? That he was, it's almost like he was a tree that was just planted in the middle. It's like you can't push that thing down. Wemby, that's not the case. So Wemby is certainly a player that you do kind of worry about when it comes to some of that stuff. So what do you guys think of Wemby? Am I making too big of a deal about Wembanyama, or you guys kind of feel the same way that this dude was incredible? Looked incredible to me. I mean, I not that he doesn't have holes in his game, not that, he shot 60% from the field, not that he doesn't need to gain some muscle. I'm not saying that he's perfect, but he's 19. And the dude's stat line again, can I read it one more time here? 27, 10, 8, 5, and 5. I feel like I'm reading a box score for a team. That's incredible. That's impressive. He had a triple-double a couple weeks ago. And what made the triple-double impressive is because, he got the points, got the rebounds, but he had 10 blocks with it as well. And then he also had 5 assists. So everybody was looking at this and saying, man, if there's anybody in the league that's going to get a quadruple-double, it's going to be Victor Wembanyama. The last player to do it was David Robinson. I think in the 90s, might have been even the early 90s. He's 19, putting up 27, 10, 8, 5, and 5s. The hell is that? All right, let me read some of these on your guys' thoughts on Wemby. Wemby's amazing. He's only 20. Let me wait on the Torian here. Wemby played well. He is a star in progress. It's a good way to put it. Find a couple more of these. Triple-double Wemby. Yep. Next 5 years, everybody's going to fear him. You might not have to wait that long. Wemby is a monster. I think everybody feels the same way. I don't think there's a question it. I think for me, it's more than anything else. I like to see it in front of me, in my own eyes, going up against a team that I'd like to see beat them, but also at the same time, have the respect for that player on the other side. You know what I mean? You want to see the Lakers win the game, but you also have this curiosity of, wait, who's this dude that everybody keeps talking about? And is he possibly going to be able to live up to those crazy expectations that he has? And he has crazy expectations. Let's see what we got here. Okay. All right, I asked you guys a little bit earlier, so I'm going to ask you guys again. Underdog Fantasy, proud partner here of the show. Very excited to have them a part of the show, and also enjoy just playing on Underdog Fantasy. Before all these games, I certainly spent some time, and I put my picks in. Now, what I like doing here is I'm letting you guys actually pick the picks for me. So I'll share this with you guys. Underdog Fantasy, they do this. If you put the code HoopsLA, they're going to match your first deposit of up to $100. I already got the two guys here, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brunson. All you got to do is pick higher or lower. You guys tell me where you want me to pick, and I'm going to do it. So Sammy, who's working in the background here, told me a little bit earlier that the last game that we did was on February 14th. I won that game because one of the listeners on here picked Giannis with the over and they picked Giannis and Anthony Edwards with the over, and it hit. So I'm just going to keep this thing riding, and I'm going to let you guys make my picks for me. So put it in the comments here. Like I mentioned, if you got a thought here on Tatum and Brunson, higher or lower. So let me know there, and then I'm going to end up putting that pick in and use that code HoopsLA. So I appreciate you guys sitting through on that one. Robert, this was an uninspiring win. I don't really disagree with you on that one. It was uninspiring. I genuinely, I didn't walk away with really anything. I mean, while the game was going on, I think there were, moments of the game where it's like, I know the Spurs are not going to come back, so it took away. There wasn't going to be drama there because the Spurs were not going to win the game, but it was also, I think a lot of Lake fans kind of walked away, or if you're watching on TV, kind of saying to yourself like, all right, well, this team really didn't care about tonight's game. Okay, if you guys got any topic that you guys want me to get into, I'm happy to get into it, but I do want to talk about that game coming up on Sunday and just how important it is. So the Suns, and frankly, just to kind of put a bow on the first two games back from the All-Star break, Lakers, Warriors yesterday. Warriors kind of ran the Lakers out the gym. They controlled that game the entire night. LeBron didn't play. And then tonight against the San Antonio Spurs, Lakers just sleepwalked into a victory. So they're 1-1 since the All-Star break. They have not looked good in either one of these games. And your next two is at Phoenix, at Clippers home game there. So Phoenix is an interesting team. And I'll spend a little time here as we get ready for that game. So that game's going to be 12:30 on Sunday. They're interesting for these reasons. At times, they look like, okay, hey, watch out for the, it was just over the last week and a half or so. They won at Miami. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They beat the Utah Jazz. I know that's not crazy impressive. They beat the Sacramento Kings, but they also have an L to the Warriors, the Mavericks, the Rockets. They've lost their last two games. That's the Mavs and the Rockets. They lost earlier today. And they are just an interesting team. That's all I could put it there. When they're hitting and they're rolling, they're really tough to beat. Like that last game the Lakers played the Suns at Crypto. That was a game I want to say Bradley Beal hit 8 threes for the Phoenix Suns. But then there's games like tonight where they lose to a Rockets team that's been struggling. And so Phoenix throws me off. They do. I think they're very beatable. I think a lot of times their offense is very predictable. I feel like they're just taking turns. Devin Booker, you shoot. Okay, cool. KD, why don't you shoot this possession? All right, let's get the ball over to Bradley Beal. It's not like this constant motion like the Phoenix Suns, like the Golden State Warriors. But with all that being said, the Phoenix Suns are going to be ready to play the Lakers on Sunday. They know how important that game is for both teams. The Lakers can either get to within a couple games, I think 2.5 games of the Phoenix Suns, or they're going to fall 4.5 games behind the Phoenix Suns. And, you could kind of start looking at 24, 23 games, whatever left at that point. You could kind of start looking at the teams where we know it's going to be incredibly difficult to catch. It's a big swing game for the Lakers. One team's got 24 losses. The other team's got 27. Lakers obviously with 27. But I'm also not crazy impressive with the Phoenix Suns. I'm not. I just don't think the Phoenix Suns are anything special. I don't think the Phoenix Suns are a team that's unbeatable or anything along those lines, but they will be more than happy to come play against the Lakers in a game on a Sunday afternoon. You know that crowd's going to be ready. You know that team's going to be ready. So I'm not trying to say it's an easy one. What I'm trying to tell you is it's a very winnable game, but the Lakers can't play the way they did in these first two games from the All-Star break, or they probably will get their asses kicked. All right, let me read some of these comments here. LeBron will be motivated to play KD if the Lakers hustle like Houston did tonight. They'll be okay. We dominate whenever Prince isn't playing. We don't start to struggle until he comes on the floor. Okay, that would not really accomplishing my goal of talking specifically about this game with the Suns. Yes, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Suns will be hungry for a win. No question about that. Got some people talking about what went on in the fight in the Pelicans game tonight, also incident in Golden State today. You know what's funny? And I watched the highlights of those, and I saw it, and, ESPN's making a big deal. Fight goes down. Twitter, you go, it's all on there. Literally nobody does anything, which is good. I'm not trying to see fights. I don't need to see swings being thrown. I'm good. I'm not. That would do nothing for me. So I don't want to see that. But it is funny how much pub things get where nobody actually even fought. But that's kind of today's NBA. Okay, I got somebody that gave me. I'm going to use for my higher or lower. So I'm going to put this in right here. Here's who we got. By the way, I appreciate you guys coming in with these comments. It's actually kind of fun to let you guys pick, and then we take it from there. Let's go with D. Says Brunson higher, Tatum lower. Okay, I'm gonna run with that. Brunson higher, Tatum lower. Putting my picks in. Again, if you guys want to play Underdog Fantasy, please put my code HoopsLA. Helps the channel. We get credit for when we get new signups. And again, it's not something you have to do. I play daily fantasy sports. I think it's fun. I think you could pick for, obviously games that are outside of just NBA. You could do baseball, you could do golf, you could do whatever you want. But NBA is my thing. So I'm going to take those picks right there. DD, I'll let you know by Sunday whether we won some dough here or we didn't. Okay. Couple more comments here, and then we're going to call it a night, and we're all going to kick back and enjoy the rest of our Friday and the rest of our weekend. We're 6-0. Adam, very good point here. I really like what you're throwing up here. We're 6-0 with this starting lineup. What does that say about Prince, who started 50 games this year, 25 and 26 when he starts? Well, don't blame it on Taurean Prince. If you want to blame that on anybody, you could blame it obviously on Darvin Ham, but I'll also just point out here, who is it? Rui, that was in and out of the lineup a lot. So it's LeBron, it's Anthony Davis, it's D'Lo, it's Austin Reeves, and it's Rui Hachimura. This is I was doing these starting lineups today in the pregame show, and I noticed that they were 5-0. It's like, all right, hey, this starting lineup obviously is working, and it has been working, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. This is going to be the starting lineup for the foreseeable future, unless there's an injury, which can always happen to the Los Angeles Lakers. Seems like that happens more times than not. But yes, that starting lineup's playing some good ball. That starting lineup is playing some good ball. And now I want to see the bench also kind of step up on a little bit more consistent basis. Slee, our schedule in March is actually crazy. Like, the schedule makers are rats. Let me look at March. Oh, yeah. No, it's crazy. Look at the matchups they have in March, okay? These are, I'm just going to pick out the tough games. Home against Denver, OKC, Sacramento, and Milwaukee. I'm sorry. Let me start over here. Home against Denver, Oklahoma City, Sacramento, Milwaukee, Minnesota, at Sacramento, Golden State. Those are literally all teams in the Western Conference. One team in the East in Milwaukee that are all fighting for playoff positioning. Then you're home against Atlanta, home against Philly, and home against Indiana, all playoff teams. Then you got at Milwaukee, at Indiana, at Brooklyn. This is life in the NBA. And for the Lakers, they kind of dug themselves a hole. So they've put this in their this is kind of on them that they're in this position. Okay. Laker fans, I think we did good tonight for a game that really was not that interesting, to be honest with you, other than Wemby. But I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the show. I will be back. Still working on a couple things. My plan was to have somebody on for tomorrow and just do just kind of like I have basically been having a guest on over the weekends. But let me see. I'm still kind of trying to schedule and coordinate it, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. Either way, if we don't talk tomorrow, we'll talk Sunday. Appreciate it, Laker fans. Thank you. Have a great rest of your night. Get back with you guys in a couple days here, and we'll go from there. Thanks, Laker fans.